Welcome back, I hope you are doing well, but I want to start this training with an important note, because if you really don't want to be on camera, we are going to talk later in this module about how you can make videos without ever being on camera. In fact, some of my best performing videos, I'm not on camera at all for them. However, I can't stress enough that it's extremely beneficial to get reasonably good on camera, because not only does it build a greater connection with your audience, it allows you to make quicker content. So ideally, you would make some videos where you are on camera and some where you're not. And if you're on board with that, let's talk about how you can become really great on camera and develop a good camera presence, even if you've never done it before and you're a bit, feeling a bit awkward about the idea. So there are 5 points we're going to cover on this topic that will talk you through how you can become a better speaker on camera, but also the kind of mental side of it of how you can just feel more comfortable. Because it is an unusual thing. Everyone has to start out and learn these principles. So that's what this training is all about. And the first thing we're going to talk about is your state when filming a video. Some of the best and most surprising advice I've ever heard for YouTube was that what you do before you go on camera is just as important as what you do on camera, maybe even more important. And the reason is that the state you're in when filming a video totally transforms how it comes across to the audience. Of course, you don't need to be too over the top with your energy, but dull, monotone videos where you can sense the person doesn't really want to be doing it, well, those definitely aren't going to be watched much, and they certainly aren't going to captivate people to want to watch more of your stuff and buy your premium products and services. The good news, though, is we are fully in control of our state. We can change our mood and get energized and in the zone on command. And this can make your camera presence so much more fun, charismatic, and energetic, simply by controlling what we do before the video actually starts rolling. But the thing is, most people don't ever even think about their state when filming a video. So often they'll be in their default, tired, low energy state, which is why they don't come across as well on camera. So instead, before filming a video, always get into the right state. And there's a lot of ways you can do this depending on what works best for you. But I'm going to give you a few ideas here, and I recommend doing at least one of these before every video you film. And I guarantee the more you do it, the more it will become an anchor that as soon as you start doing this little pre-video ritual, you'll get right into the state that you want to be in even faster. Now, I will preface these 3 ideas by saying they're a bit weird, but you've got to remember, nobody's going to see them. You do these before the camera starts filming to get in the right state, and then I guarantee you will be better when recording. It's almost an immediate change. Once you've done something like this, even if you don't do this exactly, it gets you in the right state, both mentally and physically. So, as I said, 3 ideas here to get you in the right state. Number 1 is that you start with a 30-second workout. So, lifting weights, push-ups, running on the spot, whatever you prefer. We're not talking a full gym session, of course, where you wear yourself out. We're talking something physical that gets your whole body moving and your heart racing a little bit faster. Then, once you've done that, you're going to finish with 30 seconds of shaking. And there's no right or wrong here. Just do whatever feels like good shaking to you. As insane as that may sound, it loosens your body up so you don't come across stiff and rigid in your videos, and it also quickly raises your energy levels. The whole thing only takes a minute, and it gets you out of your own head a little bit by doing something so random. So I guarantee you'll be in a much better state for filming if you do a quick burst of physical activity, then shake it out, and then go film. Number 2, another strategy you can use to get into the right state before your videos is smile. Now, let's try this little exercise together right now so you know what to do right before a video and you can see how it works. I want you right now to start smiling, and don't stop. Keep smiling, just a nice big wide grin. It's kind of funny, right? A bit ridiculous. In fact, just picture everyone who's ever going to watch this training video, every single one of them just sat there beaming at their screen, smiling wide to themselves for no reason. but keep smiling. You're tempted to stop, I know you are, but just keep smiling, keep going as wide as you can, as big as you can, so that if anyone saw you right now, they think you'd gone insane with happiness. Because in 10 seconds, when I tell you to stop smiling, not yet, but very soon, what you're going to find is that by smiling for this long, even though you were told to do it, even though you just chose to do it, you genuinely do feel happier. And so keep that smile going just a little bit longer. And then once you stop, you're going to be in a better mood and you're going to feel better in general. And so if you repeat this little exercise right before filming a video, you're going to be more smiley and happy in the video, which means your audience are going to enjoy it more and like your videos more and pay you more. Keep smiling, we're nearly there. Okay, you can stop now, stop smiling. But hopefully you can see that simply by smiling, nothing else, we can control our state and immediately just make ourselves feel a little better, which, as I said, it will come across in your video performance. Now, one other tactic you can use to get yourself in the right state is using a bit of visualization. So start off by standing in a power pose for a minute, something that makes you feel good and confident. And then I want you to visualize that you've just scored the winning goal or scored the winning point in whatever sport you like most. For me, it's football. I can visualize the World Cup final, me stepping up to take the winning penalty for my country. I do the little run up, and then when I score it, you better believe I'm gonna go crazy celebrating. I'm gonna imagine the sounds, the scenes, the sensation of scoring the winning goal as the crowd goes wild. And then once you've done that, take a breather for a second. And now I want you to visualize the video you're about to film going perfectly. You crush it all round. You say the words just how you wanted. It flowed perfectly. And you can even then start picturing the comments coming in of people saying, wow, this was an incredible video. Because let's face it, you nailed it. Picture all of those views coming in, all of those subscribers. So much so that you can now visualize yourself holding an award from YouTube for hitting 100,000 subscribers. Visualize opening that box and that moment of you celebrating getting that award from YouTube. Let that feeling sink in, you hitting those YouTube goals, you impacting all those people, you making all that money. What's that going to do for your life? Probably going to give you a lot of freedom to do what you want, right? Probably going to allow you to buy the things you want, treat the people in your life you care about, allow you to bring awesome new people into your life. Really drink that feeling in, picture it vividly, because that is your future. You can even repeat affirmations of saying, that is my future, that's my future, because it is. And I guarantee once you visualize that, reminding yourself of what's to come essentially, and what's going to be the result of these videos, you'll be in a much better state, much more excited and ready to go put in an amazing performance on camera. So, as I said, 3 weird techniques, but all 3 can and will change your state. If those are a bit over the top for you, just try the exercise thing on its own, or try something like clapping loudly a few times. There are so many quick ways to change your state. The key is just finding a mini ritual that works best for you before each video, and it really does make a difference to your performance. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm not very good on camera, it's probably that you've not been very good at getting into the right state before filming videos, which would affect anyone, even the best speakers in the world. If they're feeling tired and lethargic and not in the mood because they haven't got into the right state, well, then they're not going to be very good either. However, we're just getting started here with how to become a lot better on camera. Let's move on to the second way that you can become a star on camera. Because let's face it, talking to a camera isn't natural, so it's totally normal to be a bit awkward when you're starting out. But after a lot of testing, what I've found works best is if you're doing a video on camera, don't try to script every word, but don't try to wing the whole thing either. Instead, there's a middle ground, which is where you have a list of bullet points of the things you want to talk about in the video, as this is going to keep you on track, but without making it feel like you're regurgitating lines and being overly robotic, which is the problem I had when I first started making videos, because I was trying to script out every single word, but then it just didn't come across as naturally when I was trying to deliver it, and it also took a lot longer. So instead, with this bullet point system, each bullet point can be a prompt or a question, and then you just imagine you're answering that question. For example, let's say I'm doing a video about how to wake up early. I could have a list of bullet points like, number 1, why waking up early is important. Number 2, a specific method for waking up early, like going to bed at a set time. Next bullet point, the method of using an alarm clock that's in a different room so that it's loud, but you have to get out of bed to be able to turn the alarm clock off, and so on. So I'm listing out these key points. I'm not writing out every word, because as soon as I see, why is waking up important, with a question mark, I already know when I see that bullet point what the answer to that is, so I can just start talking about it naturally. I don't need to read a script. And some of your best comes from when you're speaking a bit more naturally. But you'll notice that I specified very clearly there, I'm not doing the whole thing with no notes. I'm not trying to wing the whole thing and improvise everything, because then I'd end up missing some parts. I'd miss or forget certain points that I wanted to say. So I think the best solution, jot down the key points instead, which will give your video a clear structure and ensure you don't miss anything, but it'll also mean that you can do the whole thing much faster, much more efficiently, and more naturally. And I just want to stress, there's no right or wrong way of doing the bullet points. For some videos, you may want to include more information in the bullet points, depending on what the topic or the video is. In other videos, you won't need many bullet points at all. What I find helpful though, is that imagine you're actually talking to a person and not a camera when you're delivering the answers to these bullet points. So you read the bullet point, and then you just pretend that a client or a friend has asked you about that thing that's written on the bullet point, and you just answer like you're responding to them. And by framing it this way, rather than thinking, right, I've got to go film a video and talk to the camera, you tend to come across much more relaxed, because it's just like you're answering something that someone's asked you. So if that helps, picture that on the other side of that camera is a friend on Skype, and you're just having a webcam chat with them, rather than thinking of it as, I've got to go on camera. Anyway, this brings us to the third thing we need to talk about, which is how powerful editing is in making you look like a star on camera. And specifically, let's talk about the power of jump cuts here. You'll notice that almost every YouTuber uses jump cuts rather than doing one long continuous video. But not only does that make your videos more interesting to watch, it means you don't need to film your videos in one continuous, eloquent take. Not at all. You could film it in 100 chunks if you wanted and piece it together afterwards. Or at the very least, film one bullet point at a time, and then you have a very short break in between the next one to kind of compose yourself and think about what you're going to say for that next point. And then every time you make a mistake, you say something wrong or lose your train of thought, you can just edit that out afterwards. There's no need to start over or stop recording. And I know this may sound obvious to some people, but I've had clients trying to film an entire video in one uninterrupted take with no mistakes. But this is insane. It means you would have to do it many times to get it right. Whereas editing can just remove any bits you don't like after you've filmed it. You can rearrange things if you said something in the wrong order, you can add bits in, and so on. You have total control with the editing. So the beauty of this is that once you realize you have this much control with your editing software, it takes all the pressure off of having to do one amazing take for your video, because suddenly that's not the reality at all. You realize you can just keep saying a line over and over until you get it just the way you want it, until everything is just right. So the key message here is don't stop filming. Just edit out the bits you don't want or don't like later once you've finished in your editing software. It's really easy to do. We'll get to that a bit later on if you're not sure, but it's literally just a case of cutting out the bits you don't want. And as a bonus tip, if you clap right after doing a good take or after each bullet point, you'll get a spike on your audio levels so you can see exactly where the correct version of your take is, as this will speed up the editing process so you can cut all the mistakes out very quickly. And if you think about, when actors are recording any kind of scene for a TV show or a movie, obviously they're doing lots of takes. They don't just do it once and go, right, that'll have to do. Or they don't, when they're filming a TV show, have to film the whole episode at one time. No, they do it in lots of little chunks, and it's all edited together nicely afterwards to cut out the mistakes, to get the best bits. It's the same thing with YouTube, just on a smaller scale. But knowing this, remembering this concept of how much flexibility and control you have, means No pressure at all when actually recording, which allows you, again, to be a bit more natural and relaxed. The fourth thing though, we need to bear in mind for becoming really good on camera is that every video you film, you improve slightly more. It's like a game, and you level up a bit more every single time. Now, over 2 or 3 videos, that might not be hugely noticeable, but over 20 or 30 videos, trust me, you will start to see the improvement. And so one of the easiest ways to get better on camera is to commit to daily videos for a month. And to many people, that probably sounds kind of daunting, but what it does is it forces you to practice more, because we have to accept that when we first start filming videos, they're never going to be perfect anyway, because nobody's first few videos are. So the easiest way to get better is by taking more action and filming more videos. The truth is, literally anyone you admire as a great speaker, they got to that point through practice and repetition. You can see this for yourself though, by going back to an old video from a YouTuber you really like, and you'll see that their videos and the way they speak on camera get better and better over time. They start to find their style and get more comfortable, but it doesn't happen instantly. Those first few videos probably aren't that good at all. It's the same with any skill though, right? You can't expect to be the expert from day one, and yet when it comes to speaking on camera, people seem to think you either have it or you don't. But I promise you, if you commit to filming videos and keep going with it, it's inevitable you will get better and better. And just remember that each video, every single one, is putting you another step closer to mastering this skill, which is going to put you in such an incredible position. So that alone should inspire you to keep going and keep practicing, because those people who do are going to become great on video, which is such an important skill now. However, there is a fifth tactic that is very useful for helping you to become a star on camera, and that is to model good speakers. People who have a great presence on camera that you yourself like and connect with. And you're not going to copy them, you're going to emulate some of their qualities. Most people never take the time to actually analyze what that person is doing that makes them a captivating speaker. But when you watch more closely and take notice of what they're actually doing, you can start experimenting with those things yourself, because there's no hidden secret to it. What they're doing is right there when you watch them and listen to them. For example, I can guarantee one characteristic you will notice from every great speaker, everyone who's good on camera, is their tonality. They don't speak at the same volume and pace all the way through. They emphasize certain words. Sometimes they speak louder and then they drop down. Or maybe they start speaking really fast for a point, but then all of a sudden it slows right down. Because the truth is, how we say things often matters more than what we say. I recommend checking out a guy called Jason Capital as an example of a great speaker, at least one that I really connect with when I listen to him. But focus specifically on how he's saying things, and you'll notice that his tonality is constantly changing to make things sound more interesting. He's very expressive, not just with his voice, but his body language, moving his arms to make a point and so on. Russell Brand, that's also another interesting speaker to look at for some inspiration. You don't have to talk like him, but analysing what he's doing allows you to practice incorporating some of those things yourself. And with Russell Brand in particular, using more unusual vocabulary to express his points is going to be one of the things you probably pick up. Again though, all of this stuff is learned. Nobody is an amazing speaker without practice. So start paying more attention when watching someone you like on camera and look at what they're actually doing. Break it down, write it out. What things are they doing that make them good on camera? And then you can start including some of those elements you like yourself. And with enough practice, you will find a style that suits you best. So there we go. Using those 5 elements and all these tips and tricks we've talked about in this training, those are the keys to becoming better on camera. However, if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, do not worry. This is all just here to point you in the right direction. You don't need to become a world-class speaker. You just need to get comfortable so you can be yourself. It's YouTube. You're not trying to become an actor, so there's no need to put lots of pressure on yourself with this, except that it's a process everyone goes through with YouTube, and as long as you keep trying, you will keep improving. And if you're still having doubts about being on camera, another important thing to remember is that your audience want you to succeed. They're there to learn from you and be entertained. They don't care if it's perfectly delivered. They don't care if your hair isn't quite right. They don't care about your insecurities. They're not there to judge you. They're there to get help from you. If you're giving them valuable information, that's all they really care about. All our worries about being good on camera are often in our own head. As long as you work on these 5 elements we've talked about, you will be able to make some really engaging content because your unique personality is your biggest asset here. The only way you can really go wrong is if you try to hide that and be a robot delivering information. As long as you just approach filming videos like you're talking directly to your audience or to a friend, which essentially you are, then you've got this. And so I'm going to end this training with just some quick fire tips for people who already feel comfortable on camera and just want to take it up a notch. But these really are just extra advice. Don't feel like you need to immediately start doing everything we've talked about in this training all at once. They're just extra support if you need to take it up a level with your camera presence even further. Quick tip number 1 is to slow down. There's no need to rush through the video, which is what tends to happen if you're a little bit nervous. Instead, take a deep breath, make sure you're nice and relaxed and comfortable in the setting you're filming in, because as we said, there's zero pressure. You can edit and redo things as much as you like, you're in control, so bear that in mind and take it a bit slower. Quick tip number 2 is to drink some water and have some water to hand if it's a long video, because then you can just have a quick water break and cut those parts out in the editing software. And this may sound a bit extreme, but if you are filming quite a long video, you're going to be talking for a lot all at once, and that's not something we're necessarily used to, so it's very easy to end up with a dry mouth and not be able to speak as clearly. So having this to hand just solves that problem altogether. Quick tip number 3 is to look directly into the camera lens. Now, you don't need to maintain eye contact with the lens the entire video, but make sure you do have that as your main focal point, as it actually really helps to build a stronger connection with the audience. It's like if you're talking to someone in real life, how powerful that eye contact can be. This is the equivalent, so make sure the lens is always your central focus point. Tip number 4 though, is to wear clothes that make you feel good. Make sure you're comfy, but also wearing something that brings out the best in you. For example, for me personally, I'd probably do a better job on camera wearing a smart shirt than if I was in pajamas. But if more laid back clothing helps you be yourself more, then go with that. Don't try and wear a suit if that makes you feel quite uncomfortable and uptight. The key is just doing everything possible to bring out your personal best. And you may only find out what that is by practicing a little bit with different things. And the 5th and final quick tip is to get out of your own head, because it's never your on-camera abilities that are really holding you back. It's always the fallacies we have in our own head about how we're not good enough, or we don't sound good on camera, or we don't look good enough, and all these different things, but they are just that, fallacies. Don't let those rogue thoughts stop you from helping people, impacting lives, and growing your business. Before every video, just remind yourself, this video could bring you a ton of new leads, clients, and money. You know the topic, you're an expert on it, so have fun with it, and that'll come across to your audience. That's what really matters. So again, although all of these different tips and tricks can help you be better on camera, the crucial thing is not to get too stressed out by all of this, because the more you do it, the better you're going to get, the more you're going to enjoy the process. Honestly, when I started, I found it really awkward, but over time, I just got used to it, so much so that it now feels incredibly normal and natural, and I actually kind of enjoy it. So no matter what stage you're at right now in terms of how you feel about filming videos, just know that you can and will get to that stage, and it's just a case of practicing these things. Everyone goes through that same process. I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you in the next training.